On this episode of Lapeef, Let's Talk.
You would rather have your daughter, hypothetically, so don't say like, oh, this would never happen. Hypothetically, would you rather have your daughter be in just like a so-so marriage, or would you rather, if it can't be great or it can't be like super successful, she could just be alone? Which
No,
one would you pick?
I would pick option 3. And option 3.
No, it's supposed to be hypothetical.
It's a hypothetical. Okay, so I'm gonna answer your question.
Okay, try. I mean, I give all the context you want, but pretend you had to pick between like a just,
I would pick a
You pick a what?
Rita's laughing. I would pick her to be in a so-so relationship, right? Just for the sake of answering your question.
Okay.
But option 3 for me, and I don't believe in stand on code, is that I would prefer for her to marry outside of her race.
Kayla, are we raising our daughters to be wives? You're on mute, just so you know, baby girl.
My bad. Sorry, I was muted. So when I think about this, when it comes to raising children, a good deal of it is leading by example. So when it comes just straight off the statistics, 70% of women in our community are unmarried, and divorces, 1 out of 2 marriages, for marriages, 1 out of 2 will be divorced. So no, we're not leading by example in terms of that aspect of raising them, because you can tell a kid whatever you want. Tell them, oh, don't smoke cigarettes. And you smoking cigarettes, there's a high chance that they probably will smoke as well. You telling them not to, I mean, it's just not effective. We've seen how do as I say, not as I do is not effective. So I just think purely based off of that, no.
Okay. Are we raising our daughters to be wives?
A lot of the things that Anton said were the things that I was going to say. I completely agree. And then Kayla kind of, reiterated some of those same things. I think that based on the fact that so many people are unmarried, the answer would be no, because I think the biggest aspect of it is setting that example. You can tell somebody to cook or clean and do these things, cater to whoever and whatever, the stereotypical, whatever people think it looks like to be a wife. But I still think that the most important aspect of that, like raising someone to be a wife, is like Anton said, his daughter sees how he treats his wife. His daughter sees how Anton is. Like, those things are the most important. So that has to be there, on a larger scale. I mean, of course, people who come from different types of households can be wives and whatnot. But I think the most important thing is seeing that example in front of you. So like Kayla said, it's like, we see how do as I say, not as I do works. So nah, I would say many people are not raising their daughters to be wives, because they're not wives and they're not husbands. And yeah, there's no clear example for them.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too. So when I'm thinking about this, I mean, I know that there are situations where the husband and the wife are in the same household, and they're still not being examples that they need to be, as the mother and the father. There are a lot of parents now that had no idea of what that would look like until we had this conversation. They probably didn't even recognize that it was an issue, that it was a problem. I'm going to admit, I never really thought about raising my daughter to be a wife. And I probably picked up later on the importance. Again, just us having the conversation, Anton being the inspiration, Rilla coming with the heat, Kay coming with the heat. And this is before Q and Kayla came on to the show. But just us having these conversations, I've learned the importance of being even a better father. But then thinking long term, I asked myself, how do I want my daughter to turn out to be? So I think this conversation is great because, I mean, it's it's great that Anton is present in his daughter's life and his wife's life like that. But there are so many other people that haven't had the opportunity to do that from the start.
You know, honestly, I don't know, JR. I'm so conflicted, bro. I just don't know, honestly. And maybe this is what all guys think, and really maybe you can tell me what you think also, and if I'm off. But is there any guy truly worthy of how it is that you raising your daughter to be? You know what I'm saying? When we start to take into consideration, right? Because, like, for example, my daughter is 13 years old and she's never known anything, you know, other than the example that our family has groomed our daughters to be. You know what I'm saying? And even in that, it's almost like, you know, you're looking for a certain thing in a guy, and he don't have to automatically be successful, but, you know, are we setting our daughters up for failure by having their standards be too high? You know, do they have to lower their standards to be less than what it was that we raised them to be, or the example that we set prior to? Because largely, if you look at generation after generation, in my personal opinion, it gets worse out here. I don't know if it's because we have more visibility and it's just social media, so we can see more people and how it is that they operating throughout society. But it seems like it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And it's almost like, do I want her to just be with a man? Is that the standard? You know what I'm saying? Like, is that it? Like, is that the end goal, to just be married? See, for me, it's to be successfully married. So I over deliver when it comes to the example that I set for. Because even if she don't, let's just say hypothetically, she don't fall into the space to where it's just total, absolute successfully married like me and her mother, maybe she can fall a tier lower, and that's more than acceptable for me. But at the same time, it's like, God, like, is she supposed to settle for a guy to make $50,000 a year because that's the standard? Because that's what the average that guys make? Like, you know, that I'm conflicted. I'm honestly conflicted, and it's just a different type of conversation when it hit home. It's a whole different type of conversation when it hit home, bro.
Anti, can I ask you a
Imagine when
question?
she starts dating. Oh. Sorry.
No dating. No dating.
Anti, can I ask you a question?
Look what it's going to look like. Sorry, go ahead.
Q, we're on the same time. We're like, Anton, as you know, a very successfully married man with a daughter, and what you just brought up, like, made me think of this question. And, you know, we hear all of these things, like, you know, about how people should be wives and whatever, you know, which is true. We need more stable family structure within our community, especially. But the question I want to ask you is, if you would rather have your daughter, hypothetically, so don't say like, oh, this would never happen. Hypothetically, would you rather have your daughter be in just like a so-so marriage? Or would you rather, if it can't be great or it can't be like super successful, she could just be alone? Which one would you pick?
I would pick option 3. And option
No,
3,
it's supposed to be hypothetical.
It's a hypothetical. Okay, so I'm gonna answer your question.
Okay, try. I mean, I give all the context you want, but pretend you had to pick between like a just, you know.
I would pick a
You would pick a what?
Rita's laughing. I would pick her to be in a so-so relationship, right? Just for the sake of answering your question.
Okay.
But option 3 for me, and you know I don't believe in staying on code, is that I would prefer for her to marry outside of her race.